Today I'd like to talk to you about 7 things that you can do to keep your plants happy throughout the summer. Let's dive right in. One of the most seasonal things that you can do in your garden in the summer is of course deadheading. Deadheading is simply cutting off the spent blooms. This way the plant can focus on producing more flowers instead of going to seed. You can use snippers, scissors, and sometimes even your fingers for things like geraniums, for example. If you sowed biennials, then hold off any cutting back, so things like foxgloves, for example, so that they can self-seed around if you want that to happen. Deadheading roses is really easy. Once the bloom is faded like this, you can just cut back to the first set of leaves. You can use scissors, you can use pruners, anything. In a cluster of blooms like this, you can just deadhead the bloom that is finished. This is a really good example. Now we are at the last blooms on the same stem, so I'm going to take it down here to the next set of leaves. For thicker branches, you may want to switch to pruners so that you don't bruise the plant. For dahlias, you want to remove spent flowers, and they typically look like this regardless of the variety, so something more elongated. It's a really quick process. If you do that 5 minutes a day or focus on a specific type of plants in your garden every day, you should be able to keep on top of it. Something else that of course encourages flowers is that if you can pick flowers in their prime, then do that, especially for your cut and come again flower crops. So things like cosmos, dahlias, and sweet peas, the more you pick, the more flowers you get. So a good thing to get on top of. And of course, if you don't get to it soon enough, you can just deadhead it. Pinching is another thing you can do early summer when you plant out your plants to encourage more blooms. It doesn't work on everything, but repeat flowering plants like cosmos, for example, or dahlias will benefit from that. You see how bulky this got? If you want to cut flowers for arranging inside the house, there are typically different stages that each flower is best to be picked at. For example, for dahlias, they don't continue to open once they're cut and they're in the vase, whereas some other flowers can do that. So for dahlias specifically, now that we're entering peak dahlia season, you want to pick the blooms when it's about 3/4 open and doesn't have any petals at the back that have started to shrivel. That means the bloom is at its prime and you'll get a longer vase life for it. When you pick flowers or when you deadhead, the process is the same. You want to take back the spent flowers down to the next pair of leaves. Some plants, especially herbaceous perennials, can benefit from being cut back after the first flush of blooms. This way you can get a second crop of flowers, and also it really helps them keep a tidy and well-rounded shape. A good example for this are salvias that you can cut back straight after the first flush of blooms, and if you're lucky, they can come back a second time at the end of the summer. Lavender is the same. It needs to be cut back after flowering, and you can get a second set of blooms. RD geraniums as well, as soon as they're done blooming, they need to be cut back to the ground and new leaves will emerge, and you may or may not get a second flush of blooms. Summer is also the best time to be pruning anything that flowered from early winter to late spring. Lilacs, forsythias, any type of edges, for example, like boxes. If you have climbers like wisteria, like honeysuckle, also you need to do a summer pruning. Rambling roses that flower once, typically in June, also need to be cut back straight after flowering. And evergreen shrubs like rhododendrons or camellias also need to be pruned in summer. It's a great time to reshape any plants that need it, and generally pruning in summer helps also push some new growth. When pruning, typically avoid any sudden dips in temperature. So those can be really warm spells, but also cooler spells if you're pruning in the winter. Try to pick a nice overcast day or an overcast week so that your plants have time to recover after the pruning. Fertilizing is another key aspect of getting the best performance from your summer plants, or from plants in general, I guess. There are typically 2 key times in the year where you want to fertilize: in early spring to kickstart the growing season, and then midsummer to support a second flush of blooms for most of your perennials and to ensure continuous flower production from basically all your plants. You just have to be aware that there are different ratios of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that can vary depending on the type of plants that you want to fertilize. I typically use a long life fertilizer because you apply it once at the start of the season and they typically last for months, so that's really practical if you're super busy. A lot of gardeners also recommend using a weekly feed specifically for annuals that are much more hungry plants. You can totally do that if you have time. That really depends on your personal maintenance schedule for the garden and how much time you have to do that. This year I'm trying a new thing. I'm applying a fish blood and bone amendment in the soil, and for now that works pretty well. For my dahlias, I'm going to be applying this fish blood and bone, and also for my annuals because it says it's fast acting and I want that to be available straight away. This is what it looks like. I feel like if you're in a rush, you can always apply it on top of the mulch. It should still make its way down into the soil. I'll also, for the rose and shrubs in my garden, apply this one because it says it has extra magnesium for greener leaves, and I've noticed it to be an issue in the garden, so I think I'm going to apply this and a little bit of that today. Summer is also a really good time to fertilize again your repeat flowering roses. I have 3 David Austin shrub roses in the garden and also 2 David Austin climbing roses. And right now, after the first flush of bloom is complete, is a great time to feed them to encourage that repeat flowering process. Watering is another one of those chores in the garden that you need to get right to ensure maximum performance from your plants. It's typically recommended to water in the morning or in the evening so that the plants have time to soak up the water and is not subject to any kind of evaporation. It's not a problem if you pour water on the leaves. They're not going to burn with the sun, but it is inefficient. You really want to water at soil level, so 100% of the water you put in for the plant goes to the roots, because this is mostly how the plant will uptake water. If you have hard water, so with a lot of calcium and magnesium, that can create a buildup on the leaves and then prevent them from absorbing the sun correctly. So it's easier, if you can, to try to water at soil level. There are a couple of things that you can do to reduce the watering chore, so I'll link this video here. I have a whole chapter dedicated to watering and tips and tricks that you can use to reduce that maintenance chore for you, and that goes from the choice of plants to their locations. So check that out if watering is an issue for you right now. If the soil gets really dry in between watering, and that typically can happen when you have 100% compost, when you water, the water might whoosh directly through the pot and you think, oh, it's good because you've watered until water runs through the bottom of the pot, but really there was not enough time for this water to really saturate the soil. So if that happens, try to water slower or do a second watering so that the soil was wetted once and then that second time it can really get absorbed properly. Another key thing is staking, especially for summer grows. Plants are really lush, they grow pretty tall and pretty wide, so they will need to be supported in most cases, especially if you live in a windy area. Plants like dahlia typically absolutely need a growing framework, and that's also valid for some vegetables like tomatoes, for example. There are several staking methods, so typically you can either use individual stakes, that means each individual plant gets its own stake, and you have of course different styles for that. Something more natural like recycling branches or using bamboo stakes. In my garden I use ornamental stakes that are really beautiful and also something great to look at in the winter months. If you grow flowers on a larger scale or in a cut flower garden, for example, or just in larger quantities, you may want to look at some kind of bulk staking method like netting, for example, or using panels or posts so that you can support a large amount of flowers at the same time. Actually, I think this is going to be a good spot for a hoop because I think this way I can catch the dahlia in the pot behind that's growing pretty big, and then the 2 plants in one staking job. Yeah, I'm going to do that. To tie the plant to the stake, I like using this twist and tie material. It's basically a wire that's just coated in plastic, and that makes it super pliable and bendable, and you can reuse it pretty easily. I ended up popping a hoop here that kind of prevents the two hollyhocks over there from flopping over. And also you can see here there's one dahlia stem or two that are going to be able to lean against this. And then over there I popped in a bamboo and I tied in two stems around it with a twist and tie. And from there you can barely see that there's any supports. As soon as the leaves sort themselves out, that's going to be really nice. Look at all the buds on this. I'm so excited. But typically it's recommended to stake them before they start growing or before they need them, because otherwise at the first winds or heavy rains you can have a plant that flops over, and as soon as the stems start bending the plant is done for. Not done for because it will still bloom, but it can be difficult to get it back to being straight. So it's better that it kind of like never starts growing crooked at all. A very good example of that in my garden are lilies that didn't get quite enough sunlight when they were growing, and now they are. They're growing in an S shape, and that's not the best look. So if you care about that, make sure to stake early. Another thing to keep an eye on, especially in the summer, are pests. So as your garden thrives, so will any critters that feed on them. So it's a really good idea to regularly tour your garden, make a note of any issues, and then really dedicate time to deal with that. For example, in the garden, I've noticed aphids on dahlias for now, and also probably what is a host plant, the parsnip in the meadow. So I really need to take care of that before it spreads to other plants. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you do any of those, or what other tip you'd like to share with everyone to help them take great care of their gardens. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Sushi, like, heart attack.